Another addition reaction of ethane can be used to test for unsaturation. Remember we said ethane can react with hydrogen in the presence of nickel catalyst, heat, and pressure. And then we are going to get ethane C2H6. And then remember, this is an addition reaction because we have only one product, and it is a catalytic addition reaction because we use a catalyst. So again, we also said we can react ethane with steam, will give us ethanol. So this is another form of addition reaction. So the third one that we want to look at now is also a form of addition reaction, but it can be used to test for unsaturation. And remember we said addition reaction makes an unsaturated hydrocarbon to become a saturated compound. So our ethane here is saturated, our ethanol is a saturated compound as well. So let's look at how we can use addition reaction to test for unsaturation. So this reaction involves reaction between ethane and bromine water. Remember, ethane is a gas, and then react with bromine water, Br2 aqueous. And then the color of bromine water is orange. So when there's reaction between bromine water and ethane, remember this is an addition reaction. So you can write your bromine like this for you to understand what is going on. Br to Br single bond. So one of the Br atom will come to this carbon, and the other one will attach to the second carbon atom. So we have our products like this, carbon to carbon single bond. Then we have Br at this side, and then we have the second Br at the other side. And then you supply the hydrogen atoms that were there before. So this product is colorless. This product is colorless. And then the name is, can you guess the name? Okay, the name is 1,2-dibromoethane. It is very easy, so I can break down the name for you quickly. We have two bromine atom in this molecule, so that is why we call it dibromo. Di means two. Di, two, bromo, two bromine atom. And then we know that we have two carbon atoms. In fact, this one looks like ethane. Everything looks like ethane, except that we have bromine and bromine here. So we call this ethane. So the compound is ethane, but it has two bromine atoms attached to it. So those two bromine atoms, one of them is attached to carbon number 1, and the other one is attached to carbon number 2. So that is why we said 1,2-dibromoethane. So when you want to separate between two numbers, you use comma. When you want to separate between a number and the word, we use hyphen. So that is why it is 1,2-dibromoethane. So why do we use this one to test for unsaturation? When you have a reactant that is suspected to be an unsaturated compound, if you want to know whether it is actually an unsaturated compound, react it with bromine water. The color of bromine water is orange. So when it reacts with a substance that is suspected to be an unsaturated compound, addition reaction will happen between both of them, and the product is going to be a saturated compound. Since our bromine that is orange has reacted with our unsaturated compound, we are going to form a new product, and that new product is going to be colorless, because what makes this starting reagent, that is our reactant, what made them to be orange in color is because of the presence of bromine water. So when you get the product, that product is something else entirely, which does not have color. So what you are going to see is that the orange color of bromine will disappear, which means bromine has actually reacted with your alkene to give you something new, which is colorless. So the color will change from orange to colorless if what you react bromide with is an unsaturated hydrocarbon or an unsaturated compound. If it is already saturated, that is, if there is no carbon to carbon double bond, the color of bromine will still remain after the reaction. In fact, will still remain after the addition because there's not going to be reaction between bromine and that substance. Again, if the color does not change, that is when you add bromine, which is orange in color, to a substance that you suspect to be unsaturated compound, and the color does not change, it means there is no reaction between both of them. So if there's no reaction between both of them, it means that substance is not an unsaturated compound. So that is why we use this method to test for unsaturation. To wrap everything up, let's look at structural isomers in the alkene family. We are going to use but1-ene as an example. But means we have 4 carbon atoms. So, and then 1 means the double bond, that is the ene, is attached to the first carbon atom. So let's put the hydrogen atoms and then we supply the hydrogen atom to this. Let's check if we are correct or not. Carbon has to be 4, C4, and hydrogen must be 8. Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we are right. It is C4, H8. Now, our double bond, it is between carbon number 1 and carbon number 2. So we are going to name it after the carbon with lowest number, which is 1. So this is going to be but1-ene. And then the structural formula is this, and the molecular formula is this. So we can also change the position of this double bond. For example, we can have it this way. So we can put our double bond between carbon number 2 and number 3 at the middle here. Between 2 and 3, 2 is the smallest number. So it means it's going to be but2-ene. So let's apply the hydrogen atoms. So let's check whether we are correct. We have 4 carbon atoms and how many hydrogen atoms? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you check now, these two compounds, they have the same molecular formula. But what about the structural arrangement? It is different. The display formula for this shows that carbon to carbon double bond is between carbon number 1 and carbon number 2, and that is why we call it but1-ene. For this one, it shows that the carbon to carbon double bond is between carbon number 2 and carbon number 3, and that is why we call it but2-ene. So these are two structural isomers of butene, but1-ene and but2-ene.